Hi there, this is Leonard here from Kosmic Sound again, and we're going to talk today about a new product from Korg. These guys have been around for absolute years and they've been making excellent synths ever since they started. What they've been getting into lately is a little bit of real analog synthesis, which I know a lot of people in the synth market have been looking for, and these guys have come to the party. The first one to come out was this little one called the Korg Monotribe, just a single oscillator synth. Tiny little thing, but it made a pretty big sound. Built-in speaker, you connect it to your own speakers though, and that's where the magic happened. Now they've brought out this bigger one, which is called the Monotribe. It's still a single oscillator, but it gives you just a few more options with how to control it and how to program it. So probably the only thing with this one was that you only had this little ribbon controller here, which was pretty difficult to actually specify a particular note that you might want to play. So they rectified that with this model. You can still operate it in the same way as the Monotron, but they're giving you some other options for getting your sounds in. So let's get into it. We're going to take a look at how this thing works. So the first thing we'll look at is the oscillator itself. All the stuff here is controlled from the top, so you've got a waveform selector here where we can go from sawtooth to triangle to square wave. If we just get some sound going here, we'll just show you the difference here. So that's your triangle wave, your saw wave, and your square. What you've got next to it is an octave selector. So this all comes down into when you're actually putting the sounds in. So if you notice, if I just change this position of this knob here, nothing will actually happen. But if I was to just play on the keyboard, you notice that the actual pitch changes, it changes the octave. So the next thing over you'll find is the voltage control filter. This works pretty much like any other filter on any synth. The thing to note is it is the filter out of the legendary Korg MS-20 synth. And the big thing with this filter is that it's non-stepped. So a lot of the synths that you'll get nowadays, all the digital synths, by the nature of them being digital, you'll find stepping in the filter as you progressively move the knob up and down. With analog, you don't get this at all. It's a perfectly smooth motion as you move it up and down. Right below the cutoff, you've got your resonance knob, which they call peak. So you can use this to accentuate the frequency of the filter if you want, or have it lower and just get that fatter sound. Moving on here, you've just got your voltage control amplifier level, which is just the level of your oscillator. You've also got on this side a noise knob. Now it's not an independent noise oscillator, it's actually dependent on the level of the VCA. So what you can do is actually add noise to it, like so, and when you get the filter involved, this can be really cool. Like that. So the next thing over you'll find is the LFO, the low frequency oscillator, and you can use this to modulate the sound. So if we get this sound going, you'll hear that it's cycling. At the moment what I've got is there's this switch here which can be set to 3 positions. VCO at the moment it's set to, which means it's affecting the pitch of the oscillator. So we can change this to affect the rate and the intensity. Combine this with your filter and you can get some really interesting effects. The next option down is that it can control the oscillator and the filter at the same time, like so. And then the final option is that the oscillator will be left alone, but the filter will be affected. So you can hear it pulsing, hear the filter pulsing, like that. A couple of other things you've got here. There are 3 different modes you can run this in. You've got fast, slow, and one shot. So 2 of the modes will actually re-trigger every pulse, and 1 of the modes is totally free, which is slow. So if you leave this go, it'll just cycle of its own accord without resyncing to each pulse. If you move into fast mode, you can hear that re-triggers with every pulse, so it actually remains in time with what you're actually playing. And the same in one shot, except it only triggers once. Like that. You've got 3 shapes as well for the oscillator, which again is your sawtooth, triangle, and square. So this can affect the sound as well. Square's a lot more jarring usually. And then finally you've got a level switch over here, which will change the actual shape of the amplitude envelope. So you can hear, especially on the bottom one, which has a shelf on it, that it's actually got a slow attack stage. Top one comes in quickly, but it'll die off as well. So the next thing to check out on here is that you've got some rhythm capabilities as well, with 3 different drums. These are all really cool sounding old school noise-based or sine-based drums. So we can add these in by bringing up the rhythm. Take the oscillator out. So you've got 3. You've got bass drum here, snare drum, and hi-hat. You can actually, if you want to, play these live by triggering them with the button. Or you can sequence them like we're doing here. So you can see if I take off, we can add more in. The other thing you can do that's really cool is that at the moment what you're seeing is 8 steps, and it's only triggering 8th notes. If you want to trigger 16th, which you can do as well, you simply hold down whichever sound you want, and this will put in all the 16th in between the 8s that you already have. So we could do this with all of them if we wanted to. So here it's putting all the off 16ths in. Finally, just have a look down the bottom here, and this is how you're going to input all your synth information. So we get rid of the rhythm again and bring the oscillator back up. Now, you see you can actually just play it like so. But there are actually 3 different modes you can do this in as well. At the moment we're in narrow mode, which is only encompassing 1 octave. If we switch to wide mode, see we get a much greater amount out of it. And finally you've got key mode, and what this does is it removes the glissando effect and only triggers each note as you cross it. So if you were to do this with any of the other modes, what you'll find is that you can actually get either sharp or flat notes of the tone that you're actually trying to reach. All right, so we'll try and record a sequence now. So to do this, you just arm it to record, hit play, it's playing back now, and this is where your octave knob comes in pretty handy. So what you'll see is if I switch octaves, so you can get some really interesting combinations going by using the octave knob. You've also got a gate here as well. So by pressing record and play, and then holding down the gate time button, we can also introduce spaces into the sound. And depending where you press on the keyboard, defines the time of the gate. Probably the final button to look at here is this flux button down in the corner. And what this does is essentially enables you to record totally freeform without it syncing to the tempo of the machine. So if we engage that, so we can get totally freeform results that we can then tweak away. Like that. The only other thing to mention is that there are actually some awesome syncing capabilities with this machine as well. You can connect 2 of them, and they can one can slave off the other one, so you can set the tempo on one and the other one will automatically sync to it. You also have a pulse that's actually sent out the back of the machine. This can be recorded into any DAW software like we've done with Logic right here. You can record it in, chop it up, and if you set each pulse on every 16th note, what you'll get is a sync signal. So I'm going to plug this in now and show you how that works. So when you plug this into the sync input, what you'll find is the tempo freezes, and it'll only be, and I can press play, nothing will happen. It'll only be when I actually hit play in Logic that the sound will start coming through, and you'll now see that I can move the tempo knob and nothing will change at all. Another thing you can do is to delete any of the pulses, and the Monotribe will wait for the next one, so you can use this to create some really interesting rhythmic effects as well. So we've been looking today at the new product from Korg, the Monotribe. This is an excellent product. It's a real analog synth. Any synth head will want to get their hands on one of these. It doesn't cost a lot as well, which is really great news. So if you want to check this out, we'll have these in stock all the time at our Osborne Park and Cannington stores, or you can purchase online at kosmic.com.au.